All right, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2011 Acura RL. Up front is a 3.7 liter V6 and down below is a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now I'm super excited to be driving this here RL because this car is actually really rare. This body style was only offered in 2011 and 2012, where in 2011 they produced just under 1,100 and in 2012 they only produced a few hundred, making the total production run for this vehicle in this body style being under 1,500 units, making it pretty rare, which it's always fun to drive something really unique. And if you're watching this video, I want you guys to comment and let me know if you've seen one of these before, if you've heard of one of these, if these are rare, if you know someone with one of these, because I find them super unique. So let's get back to that 3.7 liter V6. Now, something interesting about it is that it does have VTEC. It is a VTEC engine, which is the variable valve timing system from Honda. And what's interesting is this actually has dual VTEC. It not only has VTEC for the intake, but also the exhaust valves. So when we do a pull, listen for it, and you can actually hear it. Like I said, paired to that 3.7 liter is a 6-speed automatic. Now the 6-speed was first offered for this year of 2011 and was miles better than the outgoing 5-speed. So the 6-speed is what you want to look for. Last but not least about the drivetrain, this has SH all-wheel drive or super handling all-wheel drive from Acura, which is essentially Honda. Now, the really interesting thing about the all-wheel drive system, well, actually two interesting things about the all-wheel drive system is, first of all, this has torque vectoring. So the car will decide what power to send where at what time. And you can actually watch that on a gauge we'll talk about a little bit later on. That is super advanced for a 2011 Acura product. The second thing about the drivetrain that's very interesting is the fact that there is a drive shaft going between the front wheels and rear wheels. It's how it sends power, of course. However, this has a carbon fiber drive shaft. Now, why the heck would Acura put a carbon fiber drive shaft in a regular family sedan? Well, this car was originally supposed to get a V8. Rumor has it, it was supposed to get a V8 before the big stock market crash here in the US in 2008. So they scrapped the idea of a V8 and just stuck the 3.7 liter V6 into it. So this car is outfitted for a V8, it just doesn't have one. It has torque vectoring all-wheel drive, it has a carbon fiber drive shaft, and from the factory, it has 4-piston front brakes. Now, why would you need that? I don't know. So let's do a little acceleration test here. I'm actually going to keep the windows up so you can hear the VTEC. Listen for it. Do you hear it change? That's VTEC, my friend. That's the VTEC. It's decently quick. It's not a schlub. It's not slow. It's not the fastest thing in the world either. I did just get out of an S63 AMG, so my view on that might be a little skewed. But it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it is quick. And the torque vectoring all-wheel drive is really impressive. It's quick, it's responsive, and can actually send a majority of the power out to the rear. As a matter of fact, that's what it does. It'll get up to a 70% split to the rear, which is fantastic. With all that being said, let's talk about the interior. We do have some weird quirkiness in here as well. So in front of me, I have 3 analog gauges. On the far left is my tachometer. Then I have my speedometer in the middle, as well as my torque vectoring down at the bottom of the speedometer. And on the right, I have my fuel and coolant temperature. I like the look of the gauges. This is sort of the end of the era for fully analog gauges in cars. 2011, starting to edge on that sort of old style. But again, they look good. Up next to the gauges, I have a couple of buttons. I do have my CMBS off, as well as traction control, and my AFS off, which is my headlights that will actually adjust. They'll turn left and right when I'm turning left and right to keep the road lit up. On the steering wheel, tons of buttons. On the left, I have my volume, mode, channel, phone options, voice commands, and back, which the owner tells me that the voice commands in this car are the worst that they have ever experienced, which it's a 2011 system, so I guess I can't mark it down too much for that, but it's kind of laughable at times. On the right side of the steering wheel, I do have my cruise control options. So the RL from 2011 has radar cruise control, which it's a sort of rudimentary radar cruise control. It's not as smooth as the cars that we get today with their radar systems. However, it's still impressive that the RL has it. And last but not least, there is real wood on the steering wheel. There is real wood throughout the interior of this RL. That was one of the few packages that was available on the RL. And I like it. It does the job. To the left of me, I have my power mirrors. And then on the door, I have two different memory seat options, power locks, and of course, power windows, with my trunk and fuel door down below. Before we get on with the rest of the review, I want to give a huge thank you to Fixed. Fixed is a Bluetooth OBD2 sensor for your car. You can plug it into any OBD2 vehicle, which is a vehicle manufactured after 1996, and you can take a look at your gauges, you can keep an eye on your temperature, you can see your speed, you can time your 0 to 60. There's tons of really cool features that will pair directly to your smartphone, and it gives you great insight on your vehicles. Fixed is giving my viewers a hefty discount, so click the link in the description below, get your own Fixed OBD2 Bluetooth sensor, and start learning more about your car. Moving into the center, I do have a little information screen up at the very top showing me my radio channel, clock, outside temperature, things of that nature. And then we have the actual infotainment screen. So let's talk about this here center screen. First of all, this is our navigation screen. And honestly, it's a little bit dated. Weather info no longer really works. It's no longer supported by Acura, unfortunately. But I just don't like the rudimentary sort of map that comes in the car. It works. It definitely works. And Honda products for years and years and years have used this. So obviously it's a fine system. I'm just not its biggest fan. Going down a menu here, we can go to our address book, intersection map, go home, previous destinations, things like that. I can go to my info, cellular phone, calendar, calculator, roadside assistance. I like that it has a nice little drawing of a tow truck. Trip computer, weather information. Again, not really going to get that information. And then messages. And we can go up here to audio. These are all of our stations. Again, satellite radio that we can mess with there. It's a very basic system. It's not wowing me or anything of that sort. But then again, this is 10 years old at this point, so it's to be expected. Down below the infotainment screen, we have two climate control vents with a hazard switch and a huge stack of buttons. Now, normally, I really hate tons and tons of buttons in cars. However, I'm kind of okay with this because it's all up higher. It's not on the center console. It's actually up on the dash almost. We have our climate controls at the very top. Something to note here is the defrosting rear window as well as mirror defrosters. Very, very nice. And then we get our CD changer. It's a 6-disc CD changer, as well as aux, AM, FM, and Sirius XM. The interesting thing is that this CD player can also accept DVDs. However, it cannot accept movie DVDs. It's just for files. So I think Honda missed the mark a little bit. I think we should have been able to watch DVDs in here, but alas, they didn't let us. Then I have my options for that center screen down below. This is my big joystick for switching between navigation points and AC and audio and all these sorts of things. It's big and chunky and it has good tactile feedback, which is what I look for. Then I have a nice little cubby hole and we get to the center console itself. I do have heated and ventilated seats. However, the ventilated seats do not blow cold air onto you. It sucks the hot air off, which is something interesting to note. And I have this really weird, really gimmicky 12-volt outlet down in the center. I'm not sure why they did this, but well, they did, and here it is. Then we do have cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test. And the RL, if you move a little flappy thing out of the way, actually passes. The Acura RL from 2011 passes the big friggin' bottle test. Moving on to the seats are nice and comfortable. Like I said, they are heated, they are ventilated, they are power, and they are memory. So I can't really imagine much more you would want out of a seat than this. And they are really comfortable. They don't really have super high bolsters. They're not really sporty, which is nice in a cruising sedan like this. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2011 Acura RL, and honestly, not a whole lot to report back here. I do get the wood continuing here on the door from the front. I get a nice fold down center console. Two cup holders pop out of there, which is nice. And I do get two little climate control vents back here, but other than that, Knee room is okay. My knees are hitting the front seat, but it's fine. Headroom is actually pretty good. Probably got about 1.5 inches, 2 inches up above my head, and I'm 5'11", which is very, very nice. I like the leather back here. It feels very premium. However, I don't like the fact that the doors are a darker brown than the rest of the interior. It just, I don't know. I don't like it when cars mix similar colors, if that makes sense. Like if they're gonna commit to tan, I feel like they should commit to one tone of tan, or one tone of black, or one tone of white, or one tone of red, or blue, or whatever interior. So again, not too much to report back here, but let's hop around and take a look at the trunk. So coming around the back here, pop it just like that. And that's not a factory subwoofer, but tons and tons of room back here. I mean, really, really nice trunk. I'm not gonna wane on it for too long, but really nice size. You're gonna be able to fit a bunch of stuff in here, and I like these alcoves that go all the way out here. Tons and tons of space. Now we gotta talk about the looks. I really like the look of the RL because it is so rare. You don't see these around. Once you start looking at this car, the more and more you look at this car, the more you notice that it's not like regular Acuras. You probably haven't seen one of these in quite some time. And so I like that. I like seeing one of these and knowing that not many people own one. Not many people have ever owned one. And that's really, really cool. And so let's talk about my final thoughts on this here Acura RL. Well, first of all, it's rare. And I love the fact that it is rare. I love driving rare cars. I love showing you guys rare cars. That's definitely what this is. But the second reason, and the biggest reason I really enjoy this car, is because how flippin' over-engineered it is. Acura in 2011 could have very easily slapped different badges onto a Honda Accord and called it a day. But they didn't. They gave this car torque vectoring all-wheel drive. They gave this car a carbon fiber drive shaft. They gave this car 4-piston front brakes. They gave this car ventilated seats and radar cruise control. They gave it the 3.7 instead of the 3.5 been used in every car Honda's pretty much ever made. This was a labor of love. There was many, many hours that was put into this car. And that's almost the sad part, is that they didn't sell many of these. There are people walking this earth, car enthusiasts, maybe even Honda enthusiasts, that don't know what this car is. They don't know how special it is. They don't know how well built it is. That's the saddest story of them all. Not that something went big and exploded, but that something so good never got the chance to blow up in the first place. And after 2012, Acura rebranded this to the RLX to match the rest of their lineup. And they switched the body style, and they went on with life. This car didn't get its 15 seconds of fame. Didn't even get 5 seconds of fame. I really like this car. I really, really like this car. It's just that no one knows about it. Just another luxury sedan from the 2010s that no one will remember. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Anthony and their wife for letting me take out their 2011 Acura RL. This car is so unique. So huge thank you to them. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.